Hey there everybody, my name's Kat Bowser. I'm your resident fantasy therapist and welcome back to my channel. Those of you who are here for the first time, my name's Kat Bowser. I am a licensed therapist. I'm also a writer working on my first novel. And on my channel I like to dig into the psychology behind writing, behind the characters, behind the world. Because in my opinion, that's what makes your characters more real, and if your characters are more real, your story is more real. So today I wanted to give essentially a very brief introduction video for a series I will be starting the second week in December. So that is the weekend of the 13th, I believe. And this is going to be a collaboration. So I already have two folks who have agreed to help me out on this series of videos, which means I still have 7 slots. So if you guys are interested, please leave me a comment below or contact me on social media and we'll get this thing settled and started. So what are we talking about exactly? Magic, or to be more specific, the different types of magic. This topic actually came up. I was talking with one of my very close friends, Jade, and she was mentioning that there are different kinds of magic, and I'm not just talking about white magic and black magic or a hard magic system and a soft magic system. I mean, there are different styles and kinds of magic within a specific system. So what I plan on doing is I will address a different type of magic in each video, and one of my collaborators will give me their takes on that same type of magic. As it gets closer, I will give you guys some more updates, but for right now, I thought we would use this video, and I'll just give you guys a very brief overview of the types of magic that I'm talking about. In each of the videos on these types of magic, I will go more in depth in, for example, how to use it in a hard magic system, a soft magic system, things like that. So that being said, let's look at the types of magic. So first and foremost type of magic, and I think it's probably one that most people are familiar with, is either, I've heard it called Elven, I've heard it called Fae, I've heard it called Native. I tend to like Native myself. And that is essentially magic that is inherent in either a place or a being. So this is going to be your mythological creatures, elves, fairies, leprechauns, trolls, things like that. Mythological creatures, fantasy creatures that naturally are born with magic. And this kind of magic really is probably the most varied of the group, because depending on what mythology you're pulling from, you're going to have different ideas on how the magic works, why it works, things like that. But that is first on our list, what I'll be calling native magic. So second on our list is natural magic, which is very similar to native, but not quite the same thing. Natural magic are creatures that have a natural affinity to magic. They can learn spells quickly. They can interpret prophecies. They can obtain magical powers, but they are not born with it. And that's really the difference between the two is native, you're born that way. Natural, you can obtain it, but it's not quote unquote in your blood, so to speak. Type 3, entrapped magic. This is magic that is contained either within an amulet or a book or spells, things like that. And the thing about this type of magic is that, again, it kind of varies depending on the story, but there's usually a connection to the type of language that's used. There's usually more loopholes with this type of magic because of how it's created and how it's arranged, essentially. Next type, knowledge magic. I'll admit this one is probably one of my favorites just because most people don't consider it a type of magic. Knowledge magic is science, essentially. Science and technology. And the reason I include it here is because it is usually the antithesis of native magic. This is usually where you have people finding out, okay, silver can hurt the monster, iron is something fey or vulnerable to, things like that. So this is man essentially using science and natural laws to fight against magic. But from, say, a fae or a unicorn or a dragon's point of view, it's its own type of magic because it's something that they can't use, they can't deal with. So, knowledge magic. All right, next type, divine magic. This one's kind of exactly what it sounds like. It is direct intervention from a divine being. And a divine being can be a demigod, it can be a full god, it can be them giving instruction, it could be them directly appearing. But the point of it is that the magic itself comes from the divine or the god itself. So there's lots of different ways you can use this one, but the main key kicker here is the magic is coming from the divine. Next one, chaotic magic. This is where we're talking about destiny, fate, prophecies, things like that. And this one, I like the term chaotic for it. I've heard different terms for it. I think chaotic is most descriptive because it really varies by the story how powerful this kind of magic is. In some stories, it's pure baloney. It doesn't exist. In some stories, it's a driving factor. And in some stories, it's a little of both. Kind of falls in between. So chaotic, I think, kind of suits it because it can either be very weak or it can be extremely strong. And so chaotic, uncontrolled makes sense to me. Next one, elemental magic. I think almost everybody knows what this is. This is the manipulation of the elements. People that can control fire, water, air, metal, things like that. And I think it's become more popular, obviously, because of things like Avatar: The Last Airbender and things like that. But if you look in mythology and things like that, it's been around a long time. Usually the gods are the ones that would manipulate elements, but then gradually in stories you begin to see mortals being able to do the same thing. And I'll go more in depth on it when I get to this week of it. But this one I like because it has a lot of different avenues you can take as a writer, and I think those are a lot of fun. All right, next one, stolen magic. Again, it's kind of like what it says on the tin. This is magic that has been taken from its original source and contained in something else. So it's either been taken from a magical creature, it's been taken from a place, it's been taken from a specific item. It varies, but it's no longer where it should be. And this magic is what I call the most unpredictable, because magic has its own laws in and of itself, and so if you remove it from its natural environment, it don't like it, and it does weird stuff. So this one you definitely see, I think, a lot in fantasy, because if we include magic in our stories, a lot of times they can serve as a catalyst, and I think making stolen magic, I think, can make it more of a challenge. But we'll go into that when we get to that. All right, last one. This one is probably my all-time favorite, although, like I said, knowledge magic comes pretty close. Emotional magic. If you read Harry Potter, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Mother's love protecting her child. That's emotional magic. I like this one because even though Harry Potter wasn't the first one that did it, I think it has made it the most popular since then. It's this idea that it's a very ancient kind of magic. This is a kind of magic that's been around for a while. And so that gives you a lot of room to explore mythology in your world with it. And I like cheese. I do. I'm going to admit it. I like cheese. And I love family love, platonic love, that kind of thing. So this one's right up my alley. All right, guys. So those are the types of magic that I'm talking about when I'm referring to the types of magic. And like I said, as I go on, I will start posting videos on magic, probably, like I said, the second week in December. I'm going to give some time to get some more collaborators, because I'm hoping I can have a collaborator for each type of magic, so that each week we do it, you're not only going to get my viewpoint, you're going to get someone else's viewpoint. And so we'll go with that and see what happens. Like I said, if you guys are interested in collaborating, either send me a message on social media or drop me a comment below and I will get back to you. And I hope you guys found this interesting. I'm looking forward to starting this series in December with you guys. And until next time, I hope you guys have a good one. As always, if you like this kind of content, make sure to subscribe or drop a comment below. I always love reading them. And we will see what we dig into next video.